Hello there and welcome. This is Point of View. I'm Mark Leishman and the subject tonight is a delicious one. It is Angus beef. The big, beautiful black cattle, of course. The brand speaks of quality and class, and one man who'll certainly agree with that statement is Tim Brittain. He's my guest and he has had a lifetime involvement with the breed, the Angus breed. He has an MBA, been involved in farmer politics for many, many years and was chairman of the World Angus Forum and also is chair of AngusPure. And we welcome him to our Point of View studio. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Thank you, good to be here.
Before we get into the wonderful breed that is Angus, let's go back. And how did you get involved? I mean, you're a city boy. How did farming figure in your life?
Well, I grew up in the middle of Auckland, but I had a grandfather who had a property out the back of Kickarang, and a few holiday visits there sort of sowed the seed. And I sort of always had a hankering to go farming, and I had a number of school holiday jobs with property in Kinloch, and a great mentor in Roger Holyoke, right. And he really encouraged my progress, and I didn't lose the desire and ended up working on farms when I left school and going to Massey and things like that.
Yeah. So it then became just the obvious thing to do. And did you have an aim then? Did you have some sort of big plan in mind, as everyone's supposed to have?
Well, I think when I was very young, I just wanted a team of dogs and to ride horses. But, obviously to own my own property. I spent a bit of time between university back in the city working in the family business.
What was the family business?
We're still involved with it. We import and distribute sporting goods.
Oh, okay, Brittain
Wynyard,
yes, of course, yes.
So that's been a good base, but
so professional sport wasn't in the plans at all.
No, I never excelled at that level. And I was probably a bit professional sport was I predated it.
Indeed, yes, very much in its infancy.
Yes.
So you get into farming. How did you manage to get the property going and things? Was it a hard task as it is for young people today?
I was very lucky, really. My father saw the keenness in my enthusiasm, and it was in the days of Queen Street Farmers. So the first farm we bought, which is we still have it, but was bought by the family company, and I managed it for the company. But ultimately, my brother wasn't that keen on farming, so I bought the property out and bought the property next door and combined it.
Fantastic. So where does Angus come into the picture? When did you decide that this was the breed that you were going to pursue?
Well, working on the properties I did prior to university and the Hollyoaks at Taupo, they always had Angus. So that was what I was used to. And the property we bought, we did a lot of development on, and we needed cows. So I had a commercial herd of Angus cows right from the start in 1980. And then in 1991, I happened to go to a dispersal sale looking for more cows, and they were good value, so I bought them and then sort of fell into the stud breeding business from there and was captured by the recording aspect and the progress you could see coming through that perhaps you don't have as a commercial farmer.
Yeah. So you got into the whole idea of genetics, I presume, and what goes into making the best possible Angus?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And that's sort of grown with time, and there's sort of exciting things on the horizon happening with that. But I think being able to see the results of one of the frustrating things with any cattle breeding is the time it takes to see it. But you've really just got to stick with it.
And what
stick
is
with
that?
your program.
I mean, are we talking over generations, presumably?
Well, you buy a bull this year and you won't actually have the progeny ready for sale for sort of 3 years.
Oh, really? Is that long?
So it's that long. It's not like sheep breeding where you're turning them over every year. Yeah. So it is a long-term business, but in my opinion, you need to set where you want to go and stick with it and don't sort of jump off with various fashions along the way.
What is it about the breed? What is it about Angus?
It's a very versatile breed.
Can you tell us when they first came to New Zealand?
Yeah, sure. Well, in 2013, we celebrated 150 years of Angus coming to our shores in New Zealand. So
the first ones came on the first 4 ships almost.
That's right, yeah. 153 or 4 years ago. Wow. So they've been here a long time, from Scotland originally. But now there are so many countries and there's such a genetic diversity of the Angus breed around the world. That you can use to select from and to improve where you're going, which is one of its attributes. But apart from that, it's a very versatile breed. It'll stand, steep hill country and survive and flourish. It's a breed that's known for its maternal attributes, and it's a breed that's known for the finest, very best beef. So a breed that you can turn off animals at a young age for local trade type carcass weights, or carry them through to more an export weight range.
Right.
So that versatility, the maternal aspects and the fine eating qualities are the key things, I think.
Of course, coming from Scotland, they've been well used to pretty hardy conditions, no doubt. Obviously, they came here, not too dissimilar, presumably a warmer climate than Scotland, but they thrived.
They did thrive, but they seem to be able to they thrive in the sort of the snow of the back of Montana in the US, all sorts of different climates and environments.
When do you think did it really sort of come to its full glory and people realise that this Angus is kind of special?
Well, it's been happening for a while. I mean, around the world, Angus has for a long time been recognised as sort of a great eating beef. More recently, probably on our own shores, it's always been the base of our cow herd in New Zealand, and we sort of make up 35 or 40% of the beef cow herd are Angus or Angus cross. Things like 5-star beef in Ashburton, when they got started, that certainly changed or blackened the herd in the South Island, which was sort of a mirror of what happened in other countries like Australia.
What is 5-star beef? It's just a brand? Or?
It's actually the feed. New Zealand's really only feedlot, commercial feedlot. So
right.
because the Japanese is targeting the Japanese market and they want Angus cattle,
Right.
and that helped. But then from a branding perspective, the McDonald's Angus burger launch in 2009 really took it to another level, and particularly from a consumer awareness point of view, a lot of consumers became aware of Angus being a quality product, and it was positioned in McDonald's at the top of their menu.
Which was an interesting one. Was that, I presume you're involved in those days of organising that or working through, and you could see the benefits to the breeder, obviously a lot of product to sell, but did you think the image might be sort of, the McDonald's fast food image might not be quite what you wanted?
Well, some people have always said that, but I mean, if you look at a cattle beast, there's only sort of 30-40% of the beast is ever going to be in the primal cuts, the steaks, even less probably. So there's a lot of that animal that needs to go into this trim and it needs to be used in other forms. And McDonald's was a great fit to our own brander program to be able to add value to the lesser part of the animal through a great branding exercise and the power of McDonald's. And that just grew, as I say, the consumer awareness. And I would argue that it's been extremely beneficial to our breed. And I think it's been very good from McDonald's point of view too, because they didn't cannibalise their other burger sales. And
No, they set it sort of apart, didn't they? So it became a premium product, which, people like that, I think,
They do. And there's a lot of Me Too's Angus brands now, but in the burger business. But I think McDonald's have stayed with it. They've always said it was it was their most successful new burger launch.
Really?
So
now, you're busy doing your Angus work and being chair of AngusPure, etc. like that. So who looks after the farm? I imagine you'd be away quite a lot.
I'm away a little bit. My wife argues that I'm away all the time, but I'm very lucky that Kelly, my wife, has become a very capable farm manager and is very keen and an integral part of the operation at Storth Oaks.
And she loves working through that process, loves the farm?
She does love the farm, yeah. And she's probably better at the day-to-day, the farm aspects than I am. So we're a good team, good combination.
Your involvement with AngusPure, when did that start?
When AngusPure started in about 1999, 2000, at that time I was on the meat board. So whilst I wasn't involved right at that startup with the day-to-day management and operation of the brand, I was in a position to introduce the AngusPure founders with a bloke by the name of Jeff Valletta, who was at Saatchi's, and he kindly wrote the brand brief. So I had that
ammunition,
involvement at that start. But then I became chairman in 2005 when I joined the Angus board. So I've been in that role since then.
So can you explain what AngusPure is?
It's a beef brand. It's really modelled on what Certified Angus Beef did in the US, which is the longest established red meat brand probably in the world. It's been going 38 years, I think. and what the Australians did with their certified Australian Angus beef. So it's a company that's owned 50% by Guy Sargent and 50% by the Angus breeders themselves. And that's really our point of difference. So we've got a real strong commitment from the people who are actually breeding those bulls to go into the program. We don't have our own product, but we license processors and distributors to use our brand and set the standards and assist with the marketing and promotion of the brand.
How many breeders would there be, or those involved?
Oh, there's hundreds of people involved. It's an open book, it's not sort of
Not a select group.
No, it's not. No.
And is the Angus bred in the deep south the same as the Angus that might be in Gisborne or further north?
Well, that depends who you ask. Fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of breeders are bringing genetics from the US, from Australia, and using them in their herds, and they work equally well. We're lucky we have a system of analysing the cattle called Breed Plan, which predicts the progeny expectations of the mating.
Yes.
And that works across different environments, and it takes those environments into account when it makes the predictions. So
we'll take a wee bit of a break now, Tim, and we'll get back with more on this wonderful breed, the Angus breed, and see some wonderful pictures of the breed as well. Our special guest is from AngusPure, the chair of the board there, and Tim Brittain. He'll be back with us shortly for our next part of Point of View. We'll see you then.